welcome back to Finnigan 40K. This is going back into my Cadian Crusade narrative. I haven't shot a battle for this in a few months, so I've had to get myself caught up and get my forces all placed here. There's going to be some allies in the battle today as well, and I am going to be shooting this over several days. So this, I'm probably going to be cutting back and forth between my shots here of the battlefield and some pictures that I pulled from the original that this is based off of. So this battle is called The Last Stand at Oil Camp Omega, and it is derived from The Last Stand at Glazer's Creek, which is one of my favorite narrative battles ever done. I believe it was in a White Dwarf from 1997, and I try to replicate this battle annually. So I've changed some things out here just because of the size of my Cadian force. I usually don't have these many guys involved. But what this is based off of, so Last Stand of Glazer's Creek is actually based off of Zulu, which was a fictional film based off of a non-fictional event that happened in history. So there were a couple of hundred, maybe 400 British troops that held off 3,000 to 4,000 Zulu. Not 100% sure if those numbers are accurate, but you can definitely check it out. And the film Zulu, which stars good old Michael Caine, was kind of a fictional tale of that happening. So Games Workshop back in the day, White Dwarf put together The Last Stand at Glazer's Creek, which was the Praetorian Imperial Guards versus waves upon waves of orcs that were attacking. So I thought it was an incredible battle. They had tons of like civilian models in there that worked at the oil rig, so I've really tried to replicate that as best I can. The terrain here is much more modern, as you can see from these older pictures of the Last Stand at Glazer's Creek. It was a little more old school, but very, very cool battle nonetheless. Older Orc models, older Imperial Guard models. They don't make the Praetorian anymore, but they're very cool. Had those, you know, red cloaks on with the pith helmets and everything. So just a sick, very cool narrative battle. I'm going to flip back here in just a sec to my battle to show you guys tons of little pieces here. I wanted to complete this video first before getting into the actual game, because if I had this on the front end mixed in with the entire battle report, we'd probably be pushing like 3 or 4 hours. So I just wanted to make sure that I covered this battlefield. You guys can see how it's all set up and how the waves of orcs are going to attack and what those waves are made up of. So this is Last Stand at Oil Camp Omega. I'm just going to cut the camera here and show you guys a few specifics of what's going on with the battle, and then I will move over to the orcs and show you guys their force in just a sec and what's going to be taking on these Imperial Guard, these Cadian allied units, and actually some Space Marines in there too. So I will be back in just a sec to show you guys different little snippets and pieces of this battle and how I've kind of paid an homage to the original Last Stand at Glazer's Creek. All right, so my Cadian force is still made up of 2,000 points. It's actually 2,080. If you guys watched in a previous video, there was a data slate that came out to balance everything out, and my force is now at 2,080. The Orks are actually probably pushing closer to 3,500. The force that's going to be taking this on. So I've added some ally units, so it's not a complete obliteration by the Orks, to make sure that my guards have a bit of a chance. But the allies who've been added here, just to show you guys, are we have the Raven Guard Reavers. So there's a unit of them that are led by a lieutenant over on this side. Up the tower we have a Raven Guard Librarian, and this piece of terrain is beautiful for this kind of thing because at the very top there are 3 Eliminator Marines. So we have our snipers up here, which are also Raven Guard. Of course, it is an oil rig, and Cadian aren't oil rig workers, so we have our oil rig workers here. You guys saw these models in a previous battle too. They represent the civilians that work at the oil rig, but since they're defending this against the Orks, they've grabbed their personal weapons up, and they're going to be defending this to make sure that, well, they don't get killed. That's the biggest thing. Over here as well, I'll show you guys some more allied models that are going to be involved. So we have some like work ogrins here that are going to have pretty good stats too for hand-to-hand combat, and they work around the oil rig doing various tasks. So they have been put to work this time to be able to defend the facility as a security force. The Fratters militia, who you guys have seen as well, were actually involved in the very first battle at Last Stand at Glazer's Creek, so it's very, very cool to have these models present for this one. This guy too is called like a rat skin or something. They're from Necromunda. the old school. These are pewter models as well, so he's in there as kind of like either a native to the area or someone that's working at the oil rig, maybe an advisor to the native planet that the oil rig is on. He's there. And then down here we have our, let's see if we can get him into focus here. There we go. So we have the, I'll show you guys this guy first actually. So this is the Bounty Hunter model, also Necromunda. I'm just going to zoom in on him. This guy was in the last stand of Glazer Creek as well. That model was involved there, so I've added him here too, just as a very cool homage to that fight. And then we have our oil rig owner here that's represented by a Rogue Trader model, and our foreman here that's represented by a Necromunda, more modern Necromunda model. And then to round it out, we have our cook here, who is a squat or a ratling. He's got a pot there right next to the cemetery too, where some Cadian have been buried. So don't know what he's got in that pot. There's a boot in there and a tentacle, but I guess they like to eat that slop when they're working on the rig. Up here too, as per the original battle, I do have a hospital building. So very cool models in here too. They are going to be able to fight, but I'll get into those rules in just a sec, how that's going to work. But these are Cadian models who have been wounded getting to the oil rig to be able to defend it. And then we also have a hospital servitor here with a surgical bed. The guy with the servo skull above his head, I use him as like a lieutenant, either nurse or doctor model. So I have him as an extra as well for this battle. These are not part of my usual Cadian Crusade force, but they've been added in here just as kind of a nice piece for the battle, and just add a little bit more narrative and story to it. And then over here as well, by the fuel dump, we have more kind of support logistics Cadian models. So we have some like tank mechanical guys, and then we also have some support there too. They're not part of my crusade, but they'll also be able to fight with las pistols and just things like that. So I'm going to go over to the Orc force in just a sec here. I'm going to cut out and I'll show you guys what's going on there, and I'm going to describe kind of how this battle is going to play forward. Okay, and here we go. This is the Orc force that these Cadian are going to be trying to repel from Oil Camp Omega. It doesn't stop. This is hundreds of models. I actually wanted to put out all of my boys. I think I still have another 60 or 70 just basic Orc boys, but the points were just out of control, so I didn't do that. I'm just going to show you guys each force here and kind of what it's made up of and how they're going to come into the battle. So what we're doing here is going to be a D3 dice roll. So if there is a 1 to 2 rolled, it's going to be a D6, but 1 to 2 rolled, we have this massive section of Orks coming out here. So it's led by Zodgrod, Wartsnaga, and Weird Boy. We got the Beastnaga boys in here. We got the Squig boys. We got bikers. We got trucks. We got everything. So this is more of a sort of mechanized, fast moving. If that comes out first, not going to be good. We'll see what happens. 3 to 4 has the big man himself, Gaskell Thraka, that's going to come out. So if I roll a 3 to 4, this is going to be coming out as the wave. He's got a Pain Boy. He's got Makari there, his little Gretchen buddy. And then behind him is a massive group of Orc boys, which is what Gaskell likes to fight alongside. These are all Goth Orcs as well, except for the Beastnaga boys. And then back here we have some Orc artillery, the Ruckatruck Squig Buggy, and then we have the 2 Death Dreads. Very, very strong force as well. And then our last here, or it could be first, no matter what we roll, is a 5 to 6. That's led by our War Boss and Mega Armor that we just saw in that last crusade, or last stand battle against the Tyrannid, who did very, very well. Tried to take on the Gene Stealer, or not the Gene Stealer, the Screamer Killer. Behind them is 2 sections of Gretchen. We have 2 sections of Knobs. We have Tank Bustas. We have Burnas. We have Ludas. We have a lot. So Storm Boys are in there. We got the Kill Cans. And we got the Def Coptas. So that is going to be if a dice is rolled. So this is going to happen over 7 turns. I'm hoping it's not going to be too long. But what we'll do is roll dice at the beginning. If it's a 3, we're going to see Gaskell out on the board right away. If it's a 4, it's Gaskell. If it's a 1, 2, we have Zodgrod. If we have 5 to 6, we have the War Boss and Mega Armor. What's going to happen here too is once a turn is done, so it's going to be 1 turn Cadian, 1 turn Orc. They're going to be pulled out. I'm going to roll the dice again. If the same number is rolled, it's going to continue to roll until we get a fresh big unit in here with a new roll. And during the second last turn, so that's going to be maybe the third, I'm just trying to think, because it's going to have to be 1, 2. I'll have to think that one out, but I'll get that going. It's still a little while until I start the battle there. I'm getting my new Codex book on Wednesday. We do have we have Boss Snickrot here with some sneaky guys that are going to be coming in, and they're going to land somewhere within the facility. Like they've just kind of, come up through a sewer grate or something like that, and they're going to be fighting inside the facility right away during whichever turn I give them. So the whole idea behind this battle is the Orks have been fighting a massive battle, we're going to say maybe against Raven Guard or some other forces, and they're starting to run out of promethium, running out of fuel. So they know that this base is here, that this oil rig base is here, and they're trying to get fuel before they run out. So the Cadian have been placed here because they also know that the Orks are on their way with a small force of Raven Guard Marines to help protect. So, the Cadian said, look, we got a massive Ork army coming in here. Can you guys give us any support? And the Raven Guard or whoever's up there said, yeah, you know what? We're going to send you a couple squads of Raven Guard to help out. Cadian are like, oh, great. Okay, we'll take it because they're, Adeptus Astartes, better than us. And the whole battle is going to happen over those 7 turns. And the only victory indicator for the Orks is if they kill every single allied model here. If one allied model still remains at the end of this battle, it doesn't matter who it is, if it's a support character, if it's a Cadian, if it's a Raven Guard, then the Imperium wins the battle and the Orks have to run off and try to find oil elsewhere. So it's a very quick smash 'em up battle. The Orks want to get in there, steal the oil. These guys are here to defend it, to make sure that the Orks don't have a big force again to fight back wherever that other battle is happening. And the Cadian are going to be able to move first because they've got a little bit of intelligence. They know the Orks are coming over the hills. The Orks, however, are going to be setting up on either side of this field. So we have this stretch here, and I'm going to be setting them up strategically as per, well, Orks aren't very strategic. They want to just get into a scrap. So whichever area is best for whatever unit to get lots of kills in and fight, that's where they're going to go. And then there's this strip here. So each of those forces that's coming in are going to be made up on either side of this, in between waves. So we're going to get the turn going, Cadian turn, Ork turn, and then a new wave is going to come in. The Cadian are going to be able to reorganize themselves. So we're going to say that there's maybe 2 hours between each Ork wave to give them some time to reorganize themselves and get forces kind of holes filled and stuff like that in regards to where weak points are or anything else. It's going to be a really, really fun battle. I love this one. As I said, I try to run it annually. And also, in addition to that, the hospital is going to be able to bring Cadian models back onto the field. So the way that this works is a 1 to 2, the Cadian is going to be dead. So if there's an injured Cadian, they go to the hospital. If a 1 to 2 is rolled after that turn in between the waves, then the Cadian dies. If it's a 3 to 4, they remain in the hospital. And then if it's, I'm going to say 3, 4, 5, they remain in the hospital. And then a 6 will have them back out onto the field. They've been patched up. Their injury wasn't too bad. And they're going to go keep fighting in the next few rounds. So that's a very cool piece too, just to even things up a little bit. Because even with the Raven Guard in here, the Ork force is probably at least 1,000 points higher. So I'm going to be covering up the hospital right now to show you guys that. So you've seen inside, there's a little comms tower up on top too. It's an older building. It's really nice little piece of terrain there. So yeah, I'm super excited to get this one going. I am waiting on my Codex. It's supposed to be here about midweek. So as soon as I get that, I'm going to start to pick away at this battle. We'll get the first Ork wave down. I'll show you guys how that all lines up. And I'll probably finish off this video just with a few photos, if I wasn't able to put them up earlier, of the original Last Stand at Glazer's Creek, as well as Zulu, which this battle is based off of. I still have to put all of the wound tokens out here, make sure everyone's got their accurate wounds, and then we're going to be rolling the next time I see you guys to see what Ork force is coming out, and I will be able to place them wherever I want. It's going to be an absolutely fun battle, and I'm really hoping the Cadian can get another win, but this is going to be testing everything that they're worth. So again, victory indicators: if there's one allied model remaining, no matter what model, the Cadian win. And if the Orks kill every single model here, that's tanks, that's infantry, that's civilians, that's logistic support, that's doctors, whatever it is, then the Orks win as well. I'll see you in a little while, and I really, really hope that you enjoy this one, because I know I will for sure.